This is a math lesson called the estimation jar, and this is one of my very favorite lessons because this is one that you will be able to use with a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, all the way up to a 10-year-old. And it's called the estimation jar because what the children are going to do is it's a guessing game. They're going to guess how many is inside the jar. So the purpose of this lesson is it develops curiosity in kids. They're going to love the idea of guessing. It's going to become a family event. Many times what we do with the estimation jar work is we put it on the shelf, any kind of a jar with a lid, and a tray, and a little basket with pieces of paper. And everyone in the family can take turns guessing how many items are inside the jar. And then at the end of the week, you get to open up the jar and count how many things, and then you find out who was the closest to guessing. So things you will need for the estimation jar are, you will need a variety of things for good choices to put in your estimation jar. When you're starting with very young children, the bigger the objects, the better. So with a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old, I would start out with things like Easter eggs or ping pong balls. You want to make it very easy for the child to find success. So the idea is you're going to guess how many things, how many objects are in this jar. And they can pick it up and turn it around and count. And then, as I said earlier, you can either write it on a piece of paper or just guess. And then at the end of the week, or you can add some anticipation to the game by finding out later in the week when you open it up and figure out how many. So for the young child, Easter eggs or ping pong balls or different colored golf balls, and the color differentiation will help them count more easily. As they get older, the items can get smaller. So here we have different colored chips that they can count. So you'd put all these inside, close the lid, leave it on your shelf, and then they can all take turns. Even when they have friends come over, they can take turns guessing how many. Now, as your child gets older, they're going to need more of a challenge. They're going to like more of a challenge. So you can do things like marbles, game pieces, and when your child gets really old, let's say a grade school age child, you can even use little beads. This way they're guessing large numbers. They're really having to look in a small area. Well, if there's 10 beads in that 1-inch square area, how many square inches approximately is that? So how many teeny beads could be in that jar? It is a great problem-solving game. It's fun, and the kids love doing it. We want to show you how we count the objects in the classroom. After you've had the estimation jar out and the children have all made their guess as to how many they think are in there, then it's very exciting to get the jar off the shelf. You'll get your rug out so the kids can get their physical movement walking around the rug, and it's time to open up. And there's always a big anticipation as to who got the number correct and how many are in there. So with the younger children, obviously you'll just have a few objects, and this will be an opportunity to practice counting. 1, 2, 3. So for the younger children, they can practice their numbers, practice counting, and it's a great opportunity. Now when your kids get older, I just want to show you how far this work can go. So let's say your kids are older now and you have put small beads in your estimation jar. So just like with the very young children, you're going to take this off the shelf. It's time to count and find out. So you're going to pour the beads on a rug. And this is great opportunity for older kids to learn, for instance, counting by 5s or counting by 10s. So you can have a group of children here. We'd love to do this in the classroom. Everyone make a pile of 10, and then we're going to learn to count by 10. So this could be maybe for 5 or 6-year-olds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if you have several children, you're going to all make piles of 10. So with the magic of television, all the piles are now in order. So we've got 10 beads in each pile. So what the children can do, I'm going to pretend that there's 2 extra over here. So now we have to count by 10s. And this is a great lesson because that's a lesson counting by 10s later. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140, 150, 160, 161, 162. So obviously we have gone from the simplest of estimation jar counting to very complicated. There are so many levels in between that you will want to do. So you would obviously never go from Easter eggs to teeny tiny beads. But this gives you an idea of how far this lesson can go and how you can start off counting. You know, when you first do the teeny tiny beads, you probably wouldn't want to put over 100 beads. You'd want to start with the smaller beads at 90 or 92, because going from 100 to a 110 is a big step. So make sure you go gradually in increments. This estimation jar work is something that you can use in your home for 5 years or more. It can constantly be changing. You can do it every week, but if you feel the children are getting a little bored with it, as always, put it away for a while. Put it away for a month or so, get it back out. But this is a wonderful way for children to practice counting, learning their numbers, and it develops a curiosity about numbers and math.
Hi everyone and welcome to Nico's Baby Food. Once again today we're not making baby food, but we are making something that the little ones can play with. We're making Play-Doh, homemade Play-Doh, and I'm going to show you how easy it is. So let's get started. So the first thing that we want to do, into a saucepan, no heat, okay, I'm going to add in some plain flour. To that I'm going to add some water, some salt, and I know it looks like a lot, but trust me, it needs it. Some vegetable oil, and last but not least, some cream of tartar. And before we add any heat to it, just give it a mix around. Now guys, over a very low heat, keep stirring it continuously. Don't leave it for a second. Now what's going to happen is it's going to form a big clump of dough. Now it might look it's turning like a disaster on you, but trust me, it's not. As it thickens, it will form a clump of dough. So just keep stirring it over a low heat until that form happens. So guys, that's what you're after when it all sort of forms together into a dough just like that. Now, let's take it out. So guys, I've just taken our dough out and I've put it on a board. Don't flour it or anything like that, okay? But I want you to knead the dough while it's still warm, okay? Get it nice and smooth and just work in all those ingredients. After you've kneaded your dough, guys, what I want you to do is just break up your dough into 4 separate pieces. Now for this part, I am putting down some baking paper because we're going to be working with some coloured dyes and I don't want to stain the board or the bench top. So into the centre of each of the doughs, just get your thumb and press a hole in the middle. Now I've got some coloured dyes here. Now you can use any colours that you want to. I've just got green, pink, blue and yellow. So what I want you to do with your dyes, just into the centre, I want you to put just a couple of drops of the food colouring straight in. And very carefully just mould it over, okay, and just work in that colour. So that's what you're left with, guys, Play-Doh. So just repeat that other process with the different colours. So there you have it, guys, Play-Doh. How easy was that? The little ones are going to love you for it. So all the ingredients are below as usual, including a few tips on how to get that dye out of your hands. You take care and I'll see you here next week for Nico's Baby Food.
Begin this lesson by asking the child to take out a mat and to then take out the pink tower 1 cube at a time, starting with the smallest cube to the biggest cube, as described in the write-up. For video purposes, I've already brought all of the cubes and have placed them on the mat. Then tell the child that you are going to build the pink tower. You're going to look for the biggest cube. This one. I now need the next biggest cube. Here. The next biggest. The next biggest cube is this one, so this goes next. The next biggest. The next biggest. The next cube is this one. I have now built the pink tower. Stand up and ask the child to join you and have a look at the pink tower from above and from each of the four sides. Point out to the child how perfectly in the middle each cube is of one another. Then tell the child you're going to show him how you dismantle the pink tower. Now it's the child's turn.
I'm learning my ABCs.
Show us.
E, B, C, D, E, F, G. Jet. Could be only one more.
Jelly beans.
Jelly bean.
Click and drag the puzzle pieces to make a word.
Okay. That one?
J. 'm. 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 'm A. J. A. J. A. Jump.
Do it again. Stop.
Jump, frog, jump.
Why? Get down. And then press my thing.
This is a hand transfer. It's called transferring blue noodles. The object of this to teach children how to control the items from one bowl to the next, as well as to finish everything that you start. So. Obviously, you can create this activity with almost anything that you find around your house. You can use different styled dishes, different colored dishes, different items, pretty much anything that you want that the children can grasp in their hand. So this particular one, we just colored noodles, and we used objects that we found.
can you find the other bumblebee?
The objects in the kit have been chosen for simple word associations and allow you to practice with your child the basic three-step lesson or game that is so powerful in learning to discriminate between different objects, different sounds, and eventually different letters and words.
Ben, this is a bumblebee.
Bee.
A bee, that's right.
That's not a bumblebee.
That's a bumblebee.
Choose a quiet place that is relatively free from distractions to begin the three-step game. The first step is just to name the object for your child without description.
A ladybug.
The goal is for the child to concentrate on the name only and not its characteristics. Once you are comfortable that the child is confident about the three objects, ask the child, "Show me the bee," or "Put the butterfly in my hand."
Ben, can you hand me the butterfly?
This is step 2, where the child demonstrates a recognition of the object after hearing its name.
Thank you. Ben, could you hand me the
If the child hands you the wrong object, say "Thank you for the dragonfly," letting him know the correct name of the object he chose.
Rebecca, what's this?
A dragonfly.
Dragonfly. Benny, what's this?
A butterfly. A ladybug.
A ladybug. Thank you. You gonna hand me that ladybug? Oh, thank you. Benny?
Lay out 3 of the objects. Pick up one of the 3 and ask the child, "What is this?" This is step 3, where the child shows he is able to correctly name the object himself.
Where's it go? Benny, do you know where it goes?
Yeah. The other one.
Right next to the other one, that's right.
There.
Okay, can you find the other bumblebee?
When the child is successful, don't go overboard with praise. He will feel genuine satisfaction with the accomplishment without external praise from you.
Thank you, Ben. Can you find the other ladybug?
It is important to keep the focus on success and not on pleasing the parent. If the child is not successful, return to the previous step until you are confident he is ready to move on.
The bees.
Okay, I'll take the bees. Thank you. Can you hand me the butterflies?
The concept of the 3-step game is to build your child's vocabulary and to make learning fun. It can be done with kitchen utensils, household tools, or any other object you think your child would enjoy learning about. The game also allows you to build your child's confidence in each activity as you progress. The 3-step game can be used at each stage of the learning process. Step 1, name the object, picture, letter, or word for the child. Step 2, ask the child to find the object, picture, letter, or word. And step 3, ask the child to name the object, picture, letter, or word himself.
Emma, could you hand me the snail?
A spider.
Okay. Could you hand me the caterpillar?
Feel free to substitute other objects or pictures of objects that make the game more fun. It is important to focus on making all the activities fun and free from anxiety or frustration.
Spider.
Follow your child's interest and attention. If she is not able to focus on the activity, she may not be ready for it, or she may be tired or distracted by some other activity.
The dragonfly? Can you put it right over next to the dragonfly then?
Yes, sir.
Focus on the enjoyment of the game.
Thank you, Ben.
If you are not having fun, step back and ask yourself, is this too hard for my child? Try using 2 objects, or otherwise step back to a level that your child is ready to handle. Is my child distracted? Maybe it is too easy, or eliminate distractions. Is my child tired, hungry, or feeling insecure? Am I relaxed and ready to focus on my child's needs? Don't rush your child's learning. Each child learns at her own pace. If you keep the process fun and follow your child's cues, you will nurture this love of learning. If you become frustrated or angry, your expectations are too high. As you expand the types of objects and pictures that you play the three-step game with, you are building your child's ability to understand that everything has a name. This word is associated with that object. This sound is associated with this letter.
The sandpaper numbers are a similar presentation as the sandpaper letters. Begin by tracing the number. 1. 1. 1. Then have the child trace it 3 times. 2. 2. 2. Then have the child trace the number 2 3 times. 3. 3. 3. Then have the child trace the number 3 3 times. Then begin your 3-period lesson. Ask the child, please trace 2. The child should then trace 2, and once they finish tracing, say 2. Trace 3. The child should then trace 3, just as shown, and say 3. Please trace 1. The child should trace 1 and say 1. Continue this until you feel that the child understands and traces correctly the numbers 1, 2, and 3. Then ask the child, trace this and tell me what it is. The child will then trace 1 and say 1. Please trace this number. The child will then trace 3 and say 3. Trace this number. The child will then trace 2 and say 2. Once you feel confident that the child knows and understands the numbers 1, 2, and 3, you may continue with 4, 5, and 6 in a similar manner, and then 7, 8, and 9.
Catherine, can you please read these numbers for me?
Sure. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19.
Good. What number is this?
13, 16, 15, 10, 12, 17, 19, 14, 11, 18.
Good. What number is this one?
10.
Can you please count how many beads there are in this bar?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
So we're going to place the 10 under the number 10. Okay. What number is this one?
11.
10 and 1 is 11.
Okay.
What number is this one?
12.
Can you make the number 12?
Sure. 10 and 2 is 12.
Good. And this number?
13.
Okay.
10 and 3 is 13. 10 and 4 is 14. 10 and 5 is 15. 10 and 6 is 16. 10 and 7 is 17. 10 and 8 is 18. 10 and 9 is 19.
Hi everyone and welcome to Nico's Baby Food once again. Today we're not making baby food, but we are making something that the little ones can play with. We're making Play-Doh, homemade Play-Doh, and I'm going to show you how easy it is. So let's get started. So the first thing that we want to do, into a saucepan, no heat, okay, I'm going to add in some plain flour. To that I'm going to add some water, some salt, and I know it looks like a lot, but trust me, it needs it. Some vegetable oil, and last but not least, some cream of tartar. And before we add any heat to it, just give it a mix around. Now guys, over a very low heat, keep stirring it continuously. Don't leave it for a second. Now what's going to happen is it's going to form a big clump of dough. Now it might look it's turning like a disaster on you, but trust me, it's not. As it thickens, it will form a clump of dough. So just keep stirring it over a low heat until that form happens. So guys, that's what you're after when it all sort of forms together into a dough just like that. Now, let's take it out. So guys, I've just taken our dough out and I've put it on a board. Don't flour it or anything like that, okay? But I want you to knead the dough while it's still warm, okay? Get it nice and smooth and just work in all those ingredients. After you've kneaded your dough, guys, what I want you to do is just break up your dough into 4 separate pieces. Now for this part, I am putting down some baking paper because we're going to be working with some coloured dyes and I don't want to stain the board or the bench top. So into the centre of each of the doughs, just get your thumb and press a hole in the middle. Now I've got some coloured dyes here. Now you can use any colours that you want to. I've just got green, pink, blue and yellow. So what I want you to do with your dyes, just into the centre, I want you to put just a couple of drops of the food colouring straight in. And very carefully just mould it over, okay, and just work in that colour. So that's what you're left with, guys, Play-Doh. So just repeat that other process with the different colours. So there you have it, guys, Play-Doh. How easy was that? The little ones are going to love you for it. So All the ingredients are below as usual, including a few tips on how to get that dye out of your hands. You take care, and I'll see you here next week for Nico's baby food.
Most adults who were taught in traditional educational settings are fascinated by the power of the Montessori math curriculum. Giving the child the opportunity to see and feel the concept of 1 bead, 10 beads, 100 beads, even 1,000 beads, lays a foundation for a rich understanding of mathematics. As the child becomes more comfortable with each material, the concept of numbers becomes more and more abstract. Like the language curriculum, when the abstract symbols of numbers are introduced, the child has a deep understanding of what each symbol represents. Our number system is designed to have the digits of 0 through 9. Every number we can conceive of is built of these and combinations of 10. If a child can learn to manipulate those numbers, she can do it on any magnitude. If she knows that 4 and 5 make 9, it doesn't matter what place value or scale she is in. The core knowledge of our number system will be easily understood. Identical to the red rods in size and shape, the number rods add alternating colors of red and blue to further develop the concept of units and of the difference between even and odd. As the child becomes comfortable laying out the number rods, she can begin to associate a sandpaper number with each rod. Smooth wooden spindles are used to practice counting skills from 0 to 9. Once the child gets to 2 or more spindles, she binds them together in a bundle with a rubber band. The small muscle skill required to wrap a rubber band around each bundle is a challenge for a small child. In observing children, it is clear that children love being challenged in ways that are appropriate for their age and abilities. Once a child becomes proficient in her understanding of counting to 10, she can move on to the cards and counters. Laying out the counters to match the number cards confirms that the child understands the order of the numbers and can accurately represent the quantity with the counters. This activity also graphically emphasizes the concept of odd and even. Odd numbers always have a single counter left at the bottom. If the child is short a counter or has too many, he knows that an error has been made and needs to be corrected. Golden and color-coded beads are the basis of many of the Montessori math materials. At first, the beads are used to match visual representations of numbers with number cards. As he becomes ready to move on to more abstract activities, he learns to add and subtract and even multiply and divide through the use of these hands-on materials. Color-coded cards reinforce the concept of place value. These cards can be stacked together to create any number up to 9,999. The stamp game moves these mathematical concepts to a higher level of abstraction to practice more difficult math problems. Instead of 100 beads, a color-coded red stamp is used. The beauty of the Montessori philosophy is that when the directress observes that the child is ready to move on to this level of abstraction, she is confident that he has the knowledge of what the number 100 means. He has held 100 in his hand many times and added, subtracted, multiplied, and divided 100 to solve many mathematical problems.